is the KIM. Keep it moving, coming to you with another segment. Restoring the foundation with the Word of God. I just wanted to come out here and share some wonderful tips with you on how to establish yourself, how to be established regardless of what's happening in your life. That's the reason why I labeled this section of your steps have been ordered, and they've been ordered through the Word of God. I remember the scripture that says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way. So I wanted to come out here and encourage you, because I feel like this week, this month has been a lot of moving pieces. We've had kids go back to school. We've had college opening back up, a lot of transition, a lot of empty nesters, family, things are going on in the world. There has been a lot of moving pieces, but I wanted to come out and encourage you that your steps have been ordered by the Lord. Your steps have been ordered by the Lord. Your steps have been ordered by the Lord. I know it seems confusing. I know when you wake up in the morning, you're probably sitting there thinking, I'm not sure what I need to do. I'm not sure how I need to flow. I'm not sure what's going on. And some of us, when you feel that way, it paralyzes you. And it paralyzes you to a standpoint, to the point you just don't move, but you don't speak, you don't write down anything, you don't read anything. You become paralyzed by, I'm just going to turn on TV, or, everything around you watches you. TikTok watches you, Facebook watches you, social media watches you. And you are in a position where you need to be charged. One thing about the scripture, it says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way. There are various variations out there of that scripture. The NIV, it says the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him. Another, in the translation, says that the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He directs the steps of the godly. When I begin to look at the Lord makes His steps firm, I said, wow, in order for you to be firm, you have to be established. In order for you to be firm, you have to be present. You have to be in a position where you are sitting and you are present 100% there. You are thinking about where you are. You're thinking about the things around you. You're thinking about the smell of where you are. You're thinking about, hey, if I do this, this can help. You're assessing a situation. Last week, we talked about navigating your reset. And in navigating your reset, the first thing you have to do is listen and let go. In order for you to listen and let go, you have to be there 100%. You can't just sit there and aimlessly think about, that happened last year. That happened yesterday. You're all over the place. When you begin to navigate, you begin to look at that GPS system on the inside of your core of who you are, and you begin to say, that didn't work the last time. It didn't work the other time. And everything I do, I continue to end right back where I was a year ago, where I was 2 years ago, where I was 5 years ago. Is that fair? That's not fair to you. Hey, become present, because your steps have been ordered. Become present because you are right where you need to be for that next level. Become present and begin to sit back and assess every situation. I need for you to initiate. When you begin to initiate your next step, you plan something. You begin to initiate your next step, you sit down and you write things down. What do I need to do? What don't I need to do? What are some things right now that I don't need to focus on? Sometimes that can actually have us in all parts of the world. What conversations I don't need to focus on? What conversations, they don't profit me? They don't invest in who I'm going. And matter of fact, they actually beat up the person that I used to be, who sometimes I date every day. Okay, that past person who I used to be. And when me and her begin to communicate, only thing I do is I remember what was said to her. Now it affects my present. It affects my future of who I used to be. Become present. Begin to assess everything possible of who you used to be. You hear what I'm saying? Your steps have been ordered. Your steps have been ordered. He said, I make your steps firm, which means I establish you. Yeah, I understand that there's a lot of moving parts. I do. I understand there's a lot of moving parts. And I also understand that in those moving parts, in order for you to be firm, you're going to have to make some adjustments. No more excuses. Make some adjustments. When you begin to loose yourself from excuses, you begin to build momentum. Why? Because every move I take, there's an action of purpose. There's an action that I'm looking for an intended result. I'm just not making aimless decisions. I'm just not making busy moves. No, I'm making powered moves. And when I make powered moves, I look forward into who I need to become, and I scale that back and I say, okay, in order for me to become that person, I'm going to have to start doing this. I'm going to have to start hanging out here. No more half done jobs. I'm in 100%. No more half done conversations. People will know exactly how I feel when I get off the phone. And not to say I have to blast them. No, no, no. I can be very politically correct that this is not feeding me. This is not investing into my growth. This no longer needs to be a conversation about how I feel. If this conversation or if this communication or if this relationship is not feeding neither one of us, what are we holding on to? See, grown-ups have conversations like that. I'm not even going to say grown-ups. People with purpose who are ready to move forward have conversations such as that so that they can begin to move on effectively. Not saying we're not going to be friends. We're going to be friends every day. But we may not talk every day. Why? Because we have just decided we're going in two different directions. And that's okay. For those who are getting over your past and you're trying to realize and figure out, how do I do that? It's the power of the refrain. The power of the refrain. Many of us, we sit back again, that paralytic mindset, and just make you lay in the bed, and now you're watching 5 movies. And the next thing you know, you've watched 3 series on all one day on Netflix. This is where you get up and say, I will no longer be paralyzed by my thoughts. I will no longer be paralyzed by my past. I choose to move forward. I choose to be happy. I choose to love me. That's the power of self-care. I choose to be established. And in order to be established, I'm going to have to grow some roots. In order for you to grow root, you have to plant a seed. I'm going to plant a seed, just not of positivity. I'm going to plant the seed of God in my life. And when I plant it in my life, you know what happens? It begins to grow roots. It begins to grow in the very dirt that people threw on you, in the very dirt that you had to be planted in. See, many of you think you were buried, but you were just planted. And being planted means there's purpose in that seed. And I'm going to have to go through a lot of variations of being open, be germinated. And when I'm germinated, they're going to throw water on top of you. See, they don't understand that any kind of water is going to help you grow. They don't understand that any kind of dirt is going to help you grow. Because when you're planted by the word of God, that seed and that root will begin to go deep. And it just doesn't go deep, but it takes over territory. Become established. Your steps have been ordered. You are firmly established in where you need to be right now. And if you're saying, I don't like where I am, then you need to write out a plan on how you can get out of where you are. And I promise you, once you become present on where you need to be, everything possible will begin to flow to you. Every idea will begin to flow to you. Who you need to become will begin to flow to you. Who you need to talk to will begin to flow to you. Every revelation that you need from the word of God and God himself will begin to flow to you. Establish yourself. There's another scripture out there. It says, I'm going to just read some of my notes. It says, for you to show up for the fight. It's a win-win situation. If you know you have been destined to become what God has called you to become, it's a win-win battle. And in that win-win battle, you just have to show up for the fight. See, I have some who will sit there and say, why even go to that interview? Why even go to that meeting? Why even go and network with them? Don't even know if it's going to work out. See, that's you. It's called self-sabotage. Because if it's been set up, therefore it has to be a blessing there for me. And when I begin to show up, that's allowing me to let the enemy know there's a win-win. There's a win-win regardless. There's a win-win regardless. If I show up, there's a win-win. I network, there's a win-win. When I wake up in the morning, it's already a win-win because I rose up to my feet. It's a win-win. Now, it says that all things, even if you say, hey, it didn't work out the way I thought it did, the word of God still got you. It says all things work together for the good, for the good of those who are the called according to the gospel, according to his purpose. The called, according to, you know what happens when you're in accord? You're in agreement. You're in agreement. Don't get in the car and not be in agreement. Don't be talking to someone and you're not in agreement with the blessing that's coming to you. See, some of us, we self-sabotage because we're not in agreement. He says, according to his purpose, in agreement. According to, you're in agreement. According to, you're consistent with. You're not shallow. You show up when you show up and you don't show up when you don't show up. You make a call and you don't make a call. No. We're consistent with. According to is having a sense of authority. According to means when I show up with all power that's in my hand. Why? Because I am the seed of Christ. I show up. And when I show up, he shows up with me. Therefore, I have to make some adjustments. And when I make adjustments, I make no excuses. Therefore, I have to be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of my mind. See, sometimes we get in those ruts and our lips, our talk, our speech self-sabotage where we are. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to come against me. I knew I was going to have a problem. No. The power of the refrain. You know what? If I'm here on purpose. Hey, if I showed up, therefore God has something for me. Hey, it may not have worked out the way I thought it was going to work out, but you know what? In the end, God always knows what's going to happen, even when I don't see it. I remember Stephen Furtick said, if you give God what you got, he'll be what you're not. Show up for the fight. Show up for the battle. Show up and watch God give you what you don't have. Stop sitting in your paralytic chair talking about what you don't have. I just need one more certification. I just need one more degree. I just need one more. God said, go with what you have. See, some of you, you're a wealth of information. You're an arsenal of information. Everything you do is already blessed, but you and your words are self-sabotaging it. Establish yourself and be firm. Begin to not be transformed to the world, but be ye conformed to be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your transformation is everything in the season. Hey, we're 90 days out before the new year. And normally in a 90-day span, I come out and I talk about navigating your reset. I talk about what are some things you need to let go of? Who do you need to let go of? What mindsets do we need to begin to reframe? And that's the power of the reframe. When you begin to reword your purpose, you give your angels things to do. It's called, you give those angels that's been charged over you, you give them something to do. But as long as you continue to sit there and badger down the very things that God has already lined up for you, you're going to be sitting in the same place in 2022. This is your season of transition. This is your 90 day. In your 90 day of power moves. This is your 90 day of power moves. This is your power week. And you're ending it, but we're starting it again. I want you to begin to think that this is my January 1st. This is my January 1st. What do I expect to have January 1st that I can start right now? And when you begin to start it right now, 90 days out, I know we're a little bit shy of, but 90 days out, when January 1st comes, you've already built momentum. It doesn't matter if January 1st even hit, you still built momentum moving forward to do what he has called you to do in this season. I call it the power of the overcome. In order to have the power of the overcome, you have to renew your mind. Renew your mind. If you want to overcome your past, renew your mind. You want to overcome your tears, renew your mind. You want to overcome your financial situation, renew your mind. If you want to overcome past relationships and present relationships and future relationships, renew your mind. Because if you don't, you'll run into the same thing, same person, and have the same experience that you've been having. Why? Because it's the same you, same mindset, the same old mindset. Begin to renew your mind. When you renew your mind, you change your thoughts, you change your life. But it comes by the power of the word. And the power of the word is saying, I am not where I want to be. But you know what? As long as I continue to talk where I need to be, I am moving forward. And I am letting go of the things that no longer has control over me. They're no longer investing in me. And I choose to move forward. I choose to speak over my life. Speaking over my life, just not joy and peace, but financial breakthrough. Speaking over my life, healing. Speaking over my life, the power of the mindset of an overcomer. I'm speaking over my life. And as you speak over your life, what drops in the wonderful ground are seeds. And those seeds begin to germinate and grow root. And as they grow root, they begin to establish who you are. So I speak to your heart. I speak to who you are right now in this very moment as an eagle of leadership, as an eagle who is destined to come out of his cave or her cave. Come out of your cave and begin to go forward. When you go forward, if you ever heard the story of the eagle, and I can come back later and talk about it, but if you ever heard the story of the eagle had to go through such transformation for over 6 months within his cave so he can grow everything back, his hair back, his beak back, his talons back, to the point he actually added 40 more years to his life by taking that process of a reset. And when he came out of that cave, he knew exactly what he needed to do to elevate to that next level. And he knew it would take a tornadic wind. He knew it would take a tornadic wind that would elevate him. See, all trouble, all trouble, all trouble. Because many people say, every time you look at trouble, all trouble is good trouble. All trouble ain't good trouble. Some trouble can be necessary trouble, necessary to your purpose when it comes to the next level. And when it rises you up, you know who to talk to, who not to talk to. You know how to keep your head low. But right here with the eagle, he knows how to walk out to the edge of that mountain. And he knows what to look for. He knows what wind to look for. No wind is just going to take him to the top. He knows he's looking for the turbulent wind. He's looking for the rough wind. And you know what's funny? All birds can't handle the rough wind. Only eagles can, because it exceeds them to that next level. And when you get into that tornadic wind, I want you to set your focus, establish your focus, because you're going to a height that everybody else won't be able to go with you. And when you get above to where you need to go, it's going to take you to a place where now only you can see where God needs you to be. This is that season. Embrace this moment. Embrace it. And when you embrace it, no longer looking back and saying what you couldn't do. This is when you look forward and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is the next step that I'm taking. This is the next purpose that I'm taking. Why? I've been transformed according to his purpose. I'm in agreement with this next level, Lord. I'm in agreement with this next step. I'm in agreement with being established. I'm in agreement with being firm. I'm in agreement with this. And if I'm in agreement with it, that means I have to wake up being initiated. I have to wake up with intention. And when I have intention, come on now, in order for me to activate, there has to be initiate. There has to be a charge. There has to be a stimulant. There has to be a change. There has to be energy. There's all those wonderful acronyms. I have to raise myself. Raise yourself up. Get off the bed. Get off the couch. Get out of the car. Engage yourself. And when you do, it's kind of like a spark. It's kind of like a match rubbing against hard surface. And you start seeing those sparks come. And when you see that sparks come, you're going to see a flame. That flame gives you initiation to start. That flame gives you initiation to take action. And every action you take is going towards your purpose. No longer sitting and waiting. In this season, I need for you to be intentional and moving forward. No more hiding behind those wonderful shadows. No more hiding behind people, hiding behind relationship, hiding behind things. No. This is your season when you step forward and you do what you know you need to do. God has called you to a higher height, and many of us have not moved. I charge you to move today. What you waiting on? Stop trying to impress everybody else. If everybody else was blind and they couldn't see you, it wouldn't matter, would it? So go ahead and just start doing what God has called you to do. Start speaking into the lives that God called you to speak into. Why? There's a small window, and that window is going to close soon. And if you don't begin to move, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I wasted time being afraid. I wasted time being fearful. You know what fear is face everything and rise. Not forget everything and run. Face everything and rise. Move ahead, and move ahead with purpose. You build so much momentum to the point you will forget what has taken place in your past. Hey, your steps have been ordered. This is your season for renewal. This is your season for restoration. So this is the KIM coming to you, letting you know that You can restore your foundation through the word of God. And if you sit there and say, I don't know where to start right now where you are. That last thing that God told you to do, start doing it. Whatever's on your heart right now, start writing it, start planning it. And don't quit until you're done. And you know what? Let me hit that real quick. Some of us quit too fast. Some of us quit too easy. And when we quit too easy, is because either you're trying to impress someone, or you're trying to, or you're looking for, or you're looking backward, saying, "I should have been further along." No more looking back. You're right where you need to be. Why? Because you're wiser now. You're more focused now. You have more intention now. You're better now. You're more healed now. You have a better mindset now than where you were. So stop looking back and then begin to speak right now. Say, I'm in a better place. I can't look back. I'm in a better place. Let me go ahead and write that. Let me go ahead and chart that. Let me go ahead and get whatever certification that you might want to get. Go ahead and explore it. Do it. You have nothing to lose. This is the KIM coming to you with another word. Your steps have been ordered, established, and become firm in the things that you have been destined to do. God bless you, and we love you, and we'll see you soon.